Okay, I'm back with more bonus content. Hopefully, you're not tired of my bonus content. My shirt is so crooked. I don't know, my shirt is so crooked. Anyway, back with bonus content. Hopefully, you guys are happy with what you've been getting from me so far. I really hope you are. Let me know if you're not. Let me know what I can change, how I can make things better. This stuff is for you, so let me know what you think about it. But I'm back again to talk about test preparation for the Foreign Service Officer Test, FSOT. So this is a time test. It covers really 4 specific areas. It covers job knowledge. It covers English expression. It covers situational judgment. There's also an essay section of the test where you have to write. So I'll talk a little bit about these in detail. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this video. It's going to be pretty short, but I do want to hit some of the highlights so you can understand what it's going to take, what this test is about, and what it's going to take to do well at it. So I talked about 4 things, right? So I just kind of start back for number 1 and give a little more detail about each one. So job knowledge. What makes this test as challenging as it is that even within the areas, it's so broad. So under the job knowledge area, it's going to be broad. You know, it's going to be some basic math in there. It's going to be some stuff about computers in there, about networking, and maybe some geography questions in there. And you can be thinking like, what the hell does this have to do with physical geography, right? World history is in there, politics, old politics, and relatively new politics. General management stuff is going to be in there, psychology, economics, U.S. government type stuff, old and new. And that's just a sampling, right? You know, it's like they threw the kitchen sink at this thing. And that's why sometimes people really struggle with it. But that's just a job knowledge category, right? That's not even the other categories. So when it talks about job knowledge, don't go down a rabbit hole of whatever your particular realm of expertise is, right? You got to look at job knowledge in the framework of the career tracks. And so remember in my last video where I talked about career tracks, if you haven't seen it yet, please go back and watch it. But remember when I said in the career tracks, you know, there could be 100 different jobs within that career track, right? And so within, let's just say those 100 jobs is all kind of stuff that could be considered job knowledge across those 100 jobs. And so when this exam tests on job knowledge, right, it's considering all the stuff within those various jobs within the particular job track, right? So that's something to keep in mind. Don't go down a rabbit hole. Think broad, right? That's job knowledge. The next one is English expression. And so, you know, I don't know how old you guys are, but think about your typical standardized test like ACT or SAT. That's kind of what this is like, right? It's going to give you a multiple choice, at least when I took the exam, it's going to give you like choices of sentences and phrases to look at. And you're going to have to pick like the best phrase. Like it could give you 5 phrases and they all could look right. But from the test perspective, they're not all right. There's one that's going to be right or more right. And that's the one you got to pick, right? So that's kind of how the English expression part goes. Just pick like the most right. not right or wrong, not black or white, but what is the most right compared to the options that they're giving you. The next one is situational judgment. So this is about, you have a situation on the job and you have to make the best decision based on what you know of that situation, based on the knowledge you have about that situation, right? So these are another set of questions where they all could look right. They all could be right, but you have to pick the most right answer, right? You may have 5 choices. All 5 may be right. You have to pick the one that's the most right. So, and you have to think about it from a government perspective, not from a corporate perspective, not from how you would want to do it perspective. That's kind of what makes this tricky, right? Remember, this is the government, right? This is not a touchy-feely corporate organization. This is a this is a governmental organization that's going to be more conservative than not, right? So you have to think about it from that perspective as well, and just pick what you think is the right answer based on the perception of working in a government environment, right? Not working in a corporate environment, right? Not working, in an entrepreneur environment, not working in a home-based business. This is situational judgment based on you being in a government work environment, right? So moving on to the last kind of big section of what's in the test is the essay. So the essay, they want you to write something, and they will give you a couple, 2 or 3 choices of what to write on. You decide what you want to write on, and then you write. And this is timed, right? So this is timed. So, but not only is it timed, you also have a limited amount of characters to use. So you just can't just be typing the hell out of the computer and just writing all kind of stuff, right? Because you're going to run out of room. You're going to literally run out of space. So not only do you have to be aware of the time constraint, you need to be aware of literally the character limit that you have. So you have to be quick and concise and accurate, right? You have to be on point in terms of the topic. You have to be correct grammatically. You have to be correct in terms of your sentence flow, your sentence structure. So they're not just looking for, are you talking about the right stuff in the right way? They're also looking at how well you literally write, how well you put sentences together, how well you spell, how well you use conjunctions, all that stuff that, you might have forgot since middle school or high school. Well, you're going to have to know it for these tests. So those are the 4 main sections of the exam. And that's the type of things that you have to prepare yourself for. Now, the next big thing I want to talk about is the fact that this test is timed. Don't let that go over your head, because not only is it timed, there's really not much time that they're giving you. So you have to be accurate, thorough, and fast, right? And that last part is what kills people. They may be able to be accurate and thorough, but they may struggle with being accurate and thorough and doing both of those things fast, right? But you have to. The test is timed, and it's not a lot of time. And what typically happens to people, it happened to me, you kind of forget about the time, even though you can see the time. After a while, you don't see it no more, right? Even though it's still there. You kind of forget about the time. You slow down a little bit, and then you realize, oh shit, I'm about to run out of time, and then you start rushing, right? So you start rushing, and then of course when you rush, you make mistakes, and then it's downhill from there. But the other thing that kind of gets people is not only is it's not like one big clock, right? Each section is timed, right? Each section is timed. So you have to manage the time within each section and then move on to the next section. There's overall test time, but also each section has a time. The time is what kills people, right? So understand that this thing is timed and it's not a lot of time. So you have to prepare by being thorough, being accurate, and being fast, right? You got to do all three things. So that's that. In terms of preparation, especially when it comes to this timing, the best thing that I can recommend is practice, 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 practice. And I don't mean just lazily practice. I mean practice with the real world scenario. Take the practice test. Take the timed practice test. There are some practice tests out there that are not timed, which I think those are useless, right? Because the time is going to kill you. Take a timed practice test. And don't take it once. Don't take it twice. Take it 3, 4, 5, 6 times, right? Because you're going to need that amount of repetition. At least most people do, unless you're a savant or something. But most people are going to need that many practices to really get comfortable with being thorough, accurate, correct, and fast, right? And the fast is what kills people, right? So the best way to really get used to that is to practice, 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 practice with timed tests. I'm going to put a document under this video, right under the video like I did the other 2 times. And so it'll have this stuff spelled out along with some more information. I'm also going to throw in a couple of links to some practice exams that I think are pretty good. So there you have it. That's the exam. It is a tough exam. It is a tough exam. Like I said in the book, a lot of people have to take this exam multiple times in order to get a good enough score to continue on through the hiring process. So if that happens to you, don't feel bad about it. It's more of the norm, right? It's rare that people only have to take the test one time and get in. I think I said it before in some other video, but I know a lady who took the test 6 times before she got a good enough score to get in. But I think the average is probably like 2.5 to 3 times. I think that's the average, right? So prepare. But if you don't kill it the first time, that's okay. Don't sweat it. Let it roll off your back. Prepare some more. Figure out what you did wrong and take it again. That's what most people do. So don't feel bad if that happens to you. But give yourself a great shot the first time around and make sure you prepare. Do not take this test lightly. It's tough, but if you prepare, it's definitely doable. That's it for now. See ya.